So, I am begrudgingly making this video. And I know you can respond saying, Lego, you don't really have to make this video. Yeah, that's true. I am a victim of my own choices and circumstances that I bestow upon myself, but it's why we are making this video here today, going over the latest on the Vancouver Canucks and what Frank Seravalli had to say in regards to an Elias Pettersson trade. This is our PD trade update, courtesy of the latest Daily Faceoff trade board. Now, if you had been paying attention to the channel, you would have seen yesterday we did make a video from this same trade board going over Seravalli and his commentary about Vancouver potentially trading Thatcher Demko to Philadelphia. Yeah, that was a pretty interesting conversation to have. But now, we're diving into the other name that Seravalli lists as a potential trade target and trade option from the Vancouver Canucks. It's listed here on the article, which, by the way, is going to be linked in the description. Parekh, Carlson, and Anderson lead the top 20 trade targets for the NHL offseason. If you scroll down to pick number 20, he is literally the last place guy on the list, but it is Elias Pettersson. Center for the Vancouver Canucks, 26 years old, who had scored 45 points, 15 goals, 30 assists in 64 games this previous year. He's got 7 years left on his contract at $11.6 million AAV. This is what Seravalli writes. This is a massive summer for Pettersson, whether he's skating with the Canucks in October or elsewhere. He says an injury prevented a normal offseason of training last summer. The Canucks have been very clear about their disappointment on how he arrived to camp. So, ahead of a full no-trade clause kicking in on July 1st, will Vancouver check his market value this summer? Will they seek to cut ties? Or will they roll the dice and hope his game rebounds to where it was 2 seasons ago? The next sentence just says, so far, 32 players have been traded off the trade targets boards this season, and it says, okay, yeah, Rantanen got traded, Miller got traded, Jiricek, Nelson, Scott Laughton all got traded. The only guys who re-signed were Evans and Vetrano, who were number 4 and 5 at some point throughout the year. But in regards to Pettersson, that's it. That's all Seravalli goes out there and writes about, and I don't think it's necessarily surprising to look at this sort of evaluation on Pettersson. Oh yeah, the Canucks were disappointed. Oh yeah, he said that he wasn't able to train properly last year. So will they trade him or will they keep him? It's not really anything, to be honest. But I did want to hypothesize the answers to whatever questions could be in there with Elias Pettersson, because with Patrick Allvin, Jim Rutherford, all these people throughout the course of the past year expressing so much belief in Pettersson verbally, there is a part of me internally that says, yeah, he's gonna be a Canuck for the next 7 years. He is sticking around here. We know that some folks have been clowning around and bringing up that Louis Eriksson comparison, like, no shot Pettersson is the next Eriksson. I get it, they're both Swedish, but there's no way PD has that level of a disappointment in his future. He's a former 100-point guy, after all, and a 100-point guy who did so at 23, 24 years old. There is no world where Elias Pettersson has the same fall from grace like Louis Eriksson did when he became a Vancouver Canuck, and I will stand on that hill, I will die on that hill. If Pettersson has a terrible career, hit me up in about 7 years and we'll talk then, but for now, I think it's a lot more likely that Elias Pettersson does bounce back in some capacity, maybe not to being a 100-point caliber guy, but if he gets 80 points again, I think a lot, but not all, Canucks fans will start to believe in Pettersson little by little again. I say not all because really, I mean, look, the excuse is there. He's an $11.6 million athlete. He should be playing as such. He should be getting 100 points every year. Should, but the fact is, shoulds don't always result in Rs. They don't always result in what is actually tangible reality. And so for Elias Pettersson, yes, ideally, he is a 100-point guy every single year. But a season like this, which turned sour, and the expectations placed upon him, like they have been, Pettersson is just a player who has been ill-equipped to deal with that so far throughout his career. He's young, though. He's only 26, so I do think there is a world where Elias Pettersson is able to find the tangible tools needed to get past this barrier and eventually become that top-tier guy again. Even Rick Tocchet said that he thinks that Pettersson will have a bounce-back year. To what magnitude, we don't know. If he gets a 100-point season, is that what Tocchet was expecting? Who knows? But at the very least, get more than 45 points. He had 45 points, man. Like, can he really get worse? I don't think so. With Patrik Allvin expressing so much belief in Elias Pettersson too, Rutherford saying, oh yeah, Pettersson can be a game breaker, he can do this, he can do that, Adam Foote saying that we need to work with this guy and we can just allow him the space to breathe and then he can become better. With all that in mind, it brings me back to thinking about the Brock Boeser situation. Because Patrik Allvin was very openly, do I say hostile? Slightly antagonistic towards Brock Boeser? Oh, he had scored 40 goals? Well, he could have had 50. Ah, you wanted to see us trade Boeser? Well, if I told you what we were offered for Boeser, I'd have to walk out the room. Patrik Allvin very openly went against Brock multiple times in the media the past year. And for Elias Pettersson, there never was any of that. They just said, oh yeah, he needs to be better with his conditioning, he needs to be more prepared, he needs to do this, he needs to do that. It's never any, like, disrespectful, if you saw the trade offers I got for him, I'd have to walk out the room. I mean, that is so blunt and upfront and brutally honest in a way that I think is somewhat inappropriate for an NHL GM to say, that I feel like the writing has always been on the wall for Brock. Especially since the JT Miller trade happened and Brock lost the main playmaker that he was able to play with and jive with. Now for Pettersson, it's not like that. They're not throwing him under the bus. Maybe you can say that it's because Brock's contract was expiring or is expiring, and Elias Pettersson is signed on for the long term. Maybe there's no reason to devalue your own player in the media in the same way there is with Brock. Oh, if Brock and his representation think that he doesn't have much value, then maybe he'll sign for less. Like, I don't know, negotiating tactic? Who really knows? But for Elias Pettersson, I just don't know if a trade is really possible here. Also, the fact that a lot of other teams seem to be wary on him as well. I don't know if the Canucks are going to get full value for Pettersson. I don't know if they have themselves a trade scenario where they actually win. If Elias Pettersson becomes the player that he can be, then okay. Like, that is an absolutely huge addition for whichever team gets him. But if Pettersson still sucks next year, if he's never able to overcome his inner mindset and take over whatever it is that's holding him back, if he still remains as a 50-60 point guy for the remainder of his contract, then okay, trade that guy now. We just don't have a crystal ball to be able to figure that out. And for Patrik Allvin and Rutherford, it seems like they're a lot more keen on giving him another chance than giving up on him right away, which, of course, I mean, they kind of have to either give up on him now or stick with him forever because he's got that trade protection. So with that in mind, I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about this Frank Seravalli Elias Pettersson trade update. What are your thoughts on Petey the player? What are your thoughts on him and his future? And bonus question, what do you think the trade package would be for Pettersson at this time? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this British Ashroll 99. And bye.